Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Good evening, everybody. So we're Fervere Coffee. So Fervere Coffee, a cup of fermentation. So we developed a very unique approach to coffee by fermenting it with kombucha and sourdough with microorganisms. So just to recap, those who work here. Mariah Kim, she is currently a UC Riverside School of Medicine student, and she's the lead. I am Jeffrey. I'm currently an assistant professor here at UC Irvine, and leading the team with Mariah Kim. So just as a kind of like a weekly summary of what we did. Let's see. Um, like what we were really working on for this week was to do a lot of consulting with healthcare startup workers and very health conscious individuals. We currently like one of our biggest theme is health. So we're trying to do that through our hypothesis testing by talking to a lot of these kind of startup people and also so very focused, not just like the general public, but just the health conscious individuals. See. So some of the lessons that we learned was the consumer mindset. So health conscious individuals are increasingly selective and they're looking with very scientifically backed health benefits. It's a because we are a specialty coffee, I think that's one of our biggest challenges is that like really capturing the mindset of those that are very health conscious. And another kind of big insight that we learned is also this keyword of transparency, especially like so I come from like a pharmacist background, so I'm a pharmacist, and one of the kind of things that I've learned with like working with patients is like for medications, it's a lot more straightforward because the medication information is on the bottle or it's like very highly regulated by the FDA. But I think because of these like products that are very like kind of all over the place, herbal supplements, like healthy coffee. I think we have to be very transparent in what we say. And I think for the next steps, we're going to continue just doing further testing. So I think this is kind of the newer slides that we added this time is kind of understanding this network of, so we put ourselves here as our company. And I think we have to do a lot of kind of hypothesis testing and also trying to gain more communications with those that are like influencers. So like social media. And then our final slide here is our value prop. So our kind of key components are enriched flavor, enhanced bioavailability, and then eco-conscious and sustainable choice. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, you went over by half a minute, so
Oh,
okay. But okay, let me open this Q&A for the fellow mentors, and then I guess I'll hold my questions. Steve is putting comments and observations in the chat, so you can see that for reference. But do you want me to read those ones, Steve, or anybody else that wants to start with the feedback? In agreement with some of the comments from Steve, if you don't mind, put up your slides on the top. The first one on your first slide, I want you to put attention to your introduction and tell us, when you're talking about your first slide on answer the three questions. Who you are, what do you do, and who you do it for. So right here, you can obviously you put it over there in your paragraph, but I want you to, instead of spending a lot of time talking about the team and all that, just introduce yourself right now and then tell us about that business thesis. And then right there, you mentioned that you have three new in customer discovery interviews. And I think Steve is trying to remind you of the demographics of those three customer discovery interviews, because on the next slides, when you're talking about your interview summary, he wanted to know a little bit more about those three customer discovery interviews, okay? So in the future, for example, you're saying like, oh, we interviewed three people. One was, let's say, a restaurant, a person that owns a restaurant. Another one is a customer, okay? So anybody else that wants to chime in?
Yeah, so um, um, I've always been very uncomfortable with anything that's direct to consumer, B2C. And the messaging here, the value proposition is that, enhance appreciation by health conscious consumers, et cetera. I wonder if your value proposition isn't to the coffee distribution channel who needs differentiating product, and that's what you voice to them. It gives them something other than just the standard Americanos and cappuccinos that we all get. And so, given that, who should you be interviewing? You should be interviewing people in the coffee business, like the product managers at Starbucks and Pete's and Dunkin' Donuts and folks like that.
Yeah, thanks for the comment. Yeah, I think that's definitely one thing. We actually am working with Isabel, our mentor, and we just kind of discussed these strategies of maybe talking to really very like specialty coffee individuals. And we're actually going to be attending like a coffee festival that's happening next week. Also, like I think Mariah's going to be attending like a certification course, and I think she's gonna try to network there with some very specialty coffee focused individuals. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when we say especially coffee focused individuals, are these individuals or are they like the brand manager from, product manager rather from Pete's or Dunkin' Donuts? Because that's the folks you need to get to, I think. It's next
Mm,
to impossible to succeed as a consumer company.
I see. I think it's kind of like that's a very good question, and thanks for the critique because I think we actually weren't thinking of like the bigger networks. I think a lot of the individuals here are probably like owners of like small business, like similar small like-minded business owners. I think Mariah is flying to San Francisco this weekend at like one of the largest coffee festivals. I think that's where she'll be able to network with like Blue Bottle and like Ritual Coffee or some of those like really huge names. I think they're usually always there and they always win awards. So maybe if you can send out business cards or something. But that's a good feedback. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Jeffrey, Steve put more feedback in the chat, but if you mind moving to your ecosystem, the one that we're analyzing this week, your business ecosystem. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so I know that you went over it very quickly, but in your own words, how would you describe this? Explain it to us. Like you think that your influencers are social media personalities? How will you describe that? Um,
I think so I think that's a good question. I think I think when Mariah came up with this chart, I think what she means really by influencers is like, yeah, like
okay,
those kind of
okay.
YouTubers or
What
like,
of okay,
yeah.
thank you. What about competitors? Have you identified competitors by name?
Not yet. I know, I mean, I think especially like at the kombucha market, like I think the top three, like Kavita, and I think there's two others that kind of dominate like 80% of the consumer market. So I think those are some things that we need to work on. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so anybody else that has any opinions about this ecosystem?
It's very general, so we get more careful, give actual names of players, just conceptualizations.
Okay, so names or positions, right? That's what you said, Steve. Okay, so when you're saying economic buyer, you could probably say like the store manager or or like you did that when you put decision maker, you put coffee managers, but the economic manager is the supply chain manager or the purchasing manager or the whoever is in charge of purchasing. Okay, try to put if I heard Steve correctly. Okay, thank you. You can stop sharing your screen. So I guess we can move on to the next theme. The next one is informed. Great job, Jeffrey. Thank you. Informed.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Yushu Ya, and I'm a PhD student from UC Riverside. And today I will continue to introduce our project. We are trying to design an app that's to provide personalized advice to the people to address the real-time and bad weathers. And this is the problem we're doing. I will not go into that. And this is the interview summary that we have done in the last class. And this is for this week. And we have interviewed two customers, two people, advice from the Office of the Emergency Management of UC Riverside, and the second is a resident doctor from a hospital. And for for the first one, the officer from the Riverside, they provide us some very useful information, like to consider the job locations of the app users, and or also consider the smoke history of the app user. And since they are working for the school, so we are better to provide some recommendation to the elementary students if they are trying to go outside during the lunch break. And for the doctor from the hospital, they provide us data that's like 7 to 8 people rush to the emergency room per day due to the cold weather. So from this interview, we have learned that we are better to consider more factors that we can consider for our app to provide the personalized advice, like the location-based personalization or the health background of the app user. And we can also a potential collaborator is from the school, that we can provide the children-centric guidance to the school child. And also, since the doctor provide us this data point, that it also certify, prove our idea that it is important to give some advice before to the bad weather coming. And this is our ecosystem map we treat the app user and the community leaders as the influencer, and the health organizations can be our potential collaborators that they can provide some data. And also the local governments, they are the decision makers that they can give us some supports for the policies and so on and so forth. And the supervisor, it can be the who invest us, that's to be the they can either making the decisions, and they are also the customer who are using this, and they are also the economic buyer. So for the business model canvas, so we are trying to provide the personalized guidance and community health protection, and also it is flexible for deployment. And that's for all for today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You went over for a few seconds, but
okay.
Okay, so now let's open it for the mentors. Any comments from the mentors? Okay, Steve's put some feedback over there in the chat. So he's asking you what's the problem that you're solving and for whom, not the users, and also what's the cost. And in your interview summary, Steve is saying your insights 2 and 3 are not insights. Insights are the strategic product development messaging implications for you based upon what you heard via interviews. And in your customer segment, pick one. one that make it more tangible with specific roles or positions, not organizations or generalizations. Okay?
I see.
Any other comments from the mentors? No? Okay, well, I have several. The first one, let's go back to your ecosystem, please.
Yes.
Over there, right here,
Mhm.
I want you to put a space where inform it's by itself, okay? Because
Okay.
remember, you are right there in the space, right? But I also want you to consider over here in your my apologies, probably I'm not reading this correctly, but I cannot
Mhm.
see your competitors. And you need to talk a little bit about who your competitors are. Can you tell me right now who your competitors?
Yeah, Francisca, if I can just jump in on
Sure.
that, because the company it's giving the product away, because it's a tool for public health agencies to reduce the cost of emergency room admissions from heat stroke, bad air, cold, etc. There are no competitors because there's no money to be made from it. This is really, it's a
Okay. It's
tool.
like
Yeah,
a
it's a tool to
it's a social
exactly. It's
service.
like
Okay.
giving away, yeah, exactly. It's like giving away free malaria nets,
Oh, okay. No, well, with
right?
that
It's
said,
exactly like that.
okay, that works. But now I think visually you need to make that distinction as to inform being by itself. And also in your box, when you're talking about your supervisor, customer, decision makers, influencers, who is this box? Is this an organization? Is this the health department? Or who is this box?
Yeah. Yeah, again, if I can just jump in here, because I know Steve's first question here was, I think, along the same line. The goal here is it's a simple goal, which is today we have public health agencies who are either government run or their healthcare systems, and what they deal with is the after effects of climate-related heat stress, air, etc. And so what Inform does is give them a tool. So for example, the County of Riverside public health care system to say, hey, Yushu, it's really smoggy outside here, it's really hot. Take the bus to school, don't walk, like that. So the customer, such as it is, and again, the customer is not paying, the customer is using this to reduce the cost on their healthcare system. They benefit by fewer emergency room admissions and whatever else ensues. And that's pretty much it. It's a solution that brings together information as a way of inoculating people who are exposed to climate effects, inoculate them by information to keep them to get them to avoid those worst effects. So
Okay.
that's pretty simple. I think that's also the answer to Steve's first question.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you for that clarification, Shamit. But and then Steve said, isn't insurance being included in this ecosystem? Shouldn't this be a player or stakeholder in this ecosystem?
I can give an answer to that too. The answer is no, because insurance is they they're actually not in a position where that they can provide healthcare advice such as don't go outside, it's really smoggy. Just as the insurance companies didn't tell us not to get COVID, our public health systems told us not to get COVID and told us how to avoid it. It's really the job of the healthcare system as defined by the public health system to provide us with this guidance. And it is, in fact, the same public health system that advises us to go get our flu shots. And the goal here is really to lessen the impact on the public healthcare system and also improve the quality of life of the people who are more than likely not even insured.
Okay. So along those lines, Steve added that maybe insurance could be the one potential funding source. The insurance company be a potential funding source for this.
Um, yeah, yeah, possibly,
You may
and as well
consider
as
this, like,
foundations.
how you
Yeah.
can put this as to, and also if there's any type of, I guess, regulations or any other other stakeholders that you are probably not including in your map right now? For example, saboteurs or somebody else that can be included in these.
All right,
Okay, so you tell me when you're ready so we can start the timer.
I'm ready. All right, so PET is one of the most commonly used plastics, and it finds its way into the landfills and water streams. So our business thesis is to provide environmental and solid waste engineers with the enzymes, so a solution that is green and circular that can decompose PET plastics faster and more effectively in a way that is more convenient and cost effective. So this week we interviewed people who manage waste. So from the industry, the green waste management, and also the people who manage waste on UCR campus. And so we learned that waste management companies are actually not the same as recycling companies. So waste management companies collect the trash and recycling material, and the recycling companies do the cleaning and further processing. So what we believe, that the insight from that is that we will focus on recycling companies moving forward. Waste management companies are not going to be our customers, but they could be our partners because they can help collect what we will use to degrade later. We learned that recycling incentives are diminishing, so there is less incentive for people to recycle, and that means our technology will need to show clear economic gains in order to be compelling. We also learned that sustainable practices are quite expensive, but desirable from an advertisement or a PR perspective. So our ecosystem, so this is our company, PET Degrade. Our potential partners will be people who can produce our enzymes on big scale. They're going to be waste management companies and people who recycle PET. We want to license or sell our technology to operators of PET producers and recycling facilities, and our customers will be the environmental and solid waste engineers. So these are the people who will make the decision. We think early adopters could, we think UCR Office of Sustainability could help showcase the approach, and government agencies to support it initially. Our influencers would be government agencies like the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, the US Fish and Wildlife Service, and Ocean Protection Agencies. Our competitor right now, there's only one. So there's a French company, Carbios. We don't have any competitors in the US, and saboteurs would be chemical recycling facilities and people who would sell the starting material to make PET. So value, just to reiterate, we want to offer enzymes that can degrade plastics faster, cheaper, and more safe, in a more safe manner. And the infrastructure to support degrading PET is actually pretty simple. So lower capital costs and low maintenance. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, so I like your presentation. I think it's very nicely done. I also liked your ecosystem map from the standpoint it was fairly easy to understand, and it just worked really well. So just wanted to compliment you on that overall. On that ecosystem map, it would seem to me, I mean, you've captured a lot. I think that's what I would consider people that are involved in here. One thing I wanted to do, and I realize this is jumping a bit ahead, but just to ask you on the competitor side, and you will be putting a slide together, but you say there's only one company, but at least my general awareness is there's a lot of people that are working on this problem, even in academics. And so as you get into analyzing for your competitors, I would encourage you to kind of look beyond. There's certainly more than just one company which is out there. People are trying to advance this type of technology overall.
Yeah, we could include some of our academic competitors.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. I think that's it for now.
Awesome.
Okay, anybody else? I don't want to be the monopolizer of this conversation. Great job, great presentation. Kevin, you did fantastic. Okay, let's go back to your first slide, please.
Okay.
Okay, so one thing that I just want you to, I know that you have Steve is fantastic, so a great mentor for you. But I want you to, in your business thesis, I would love to see a little bit more into your thesis as to tell us as to this argument that you made here as more convenient and less expensive. Okay. So when you're saying less expensive, I would love to see something on along those lines. Just explain that to me. It's like, what is less expensive? You're saying that you're gonna do a cost reduction of 10% or 5%. On where you're talking about more conveniently, what does that mean? It's like that you're gonna reduce the space needed in the way in the landfill, or explain that a little bit more along those lines. I know that you're using heavy and big words. Sometimes I cannot even pronounce them, but think about how you could explain it a little bit in that sense, okay?
Got it.
Very quickly in your summary, and when you're remember again when you're talking, you did 2 customer discovery interviews. So in your summary, when you're talking about those ones, just tell us a little bit about those 2 people, right? I appreciate that you're put a lot of emphasis on your surprises, and you say we are not gonna go with the waste management. You're gonna go only with the recycling companies. So I want you to consider what that means for your business idea. Okay, I know that at least for you, you need to talk to Dr. Gotzik and say like, okay, what does that mean for us? What does that mean for pet? Okay, so do you need to make a change or not? I know that finding the distinction between lessons learned and insights is always very daunting. Okay, but Steve is great and he will help you to make that distinction between one or the other. Okay.
Okay.
Any
Okay.
other questions or comments for Kevin? No? Okay. Thank you, Kevin. You can stop sharing your screen and then we can move on to the next tip. Feel safe.
Yeah, let me pull it up right now.
Sure, you can share your screen, put it in presentation mode, and when you are ready, let me know so I can start the clock.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so my name is Rayshawn, and me and my teammate Aaron, we're working on a hardware named Field Safe. It is made to be worn by field and construction laborers. Our solution helps prioritize safety within the labor force, and by implementing our device, it can reduce workers' time away from work, decrease workplace liability for operation owners and executives. So, from our weekly summary in this past week, our demographics is mainly facilities and landscaping labor. The hypothesis that was tested through this was construction and agriculture safety managers and executives that will implement the use of a wearable device if it proves to reduce workforce injury and sickness. And what we learned from these interviews was mainly the work pattern, along with the routine of workers that is paced. And then we also picked up extensive rather than intense and quick, which leads to long duration of exposure when with building exertion. And then to follow that, we got workers are less mindful of their personal condition, and then the comfortability and efficiency is most definitely essential. And with the insights gained from the lessons just stated, is to prioritize monitoring for exhaustion related conditions, along with consulting executive managers, and then lastly, comfortability and efficiency. And moving forward, our next steps would be to conduct interviews with the target customer, to support or evolve learnings and insights. So moving on to our ecosystem map. Our competitors are mainly Garmin and potential saboteur. Yeah, I believe that's how you say it. Very similar to what we're trying to design, along with the labor unions being potential servitor. So our device would go into California agriculture regulators, as long following. Oh, I thought I heard something. Following California safety and health regulators, and from there, this would go into our economic buyers, which would be construction and contracting firms, such as a couple listed, like Morrow Meadows and etc. Along with the labor unions and large agriculture corporations. And then so with all of this, it would end with the laborers. And our decision up top would be, for our decision makers would be the operations and safety managers. And lastly, our value propositions is comfortable and low profile wearability, along with having the ability to address the cause of financial liability and burden, following low implementation cost, and lastly, fewer recordable injury incidents and time away from work. And then with our customer segment, that would be strictly just construction and farm operation safety managers. And I believe that's all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so one thing that you went over with the time just by 1 minute, but I'm gonna up here reading the comments from Steve. I agree. I think one of the reasons why you went over time is because I know that some parts you were reading them. And I actually I want you to try explaining this using your own words, okay? And remember, you're among friends and you can explain it to us the way that you understand this. And even sometimes I know that this is a team effort. And then sometimes you're like, I was not the one that created this slide. You cannot speak much about it, but avoid reading the slides, okay? So but going along those lines, Steve also mentioned that you did a nice job with gleaning the insights from the interview learnings. So good job. I agree wholeheartedly with that. I want you to, in your presentation, put emphasis on that, okay? So when you go and present, say, we did 3 customer discovery interviews, and tell us a little bit about the demographics, and just jump into the things that the most surprising things, okay? Your insights for that. And then remember that when you're talking about these companies, the customer is not a company or a market, but a role within that company. Okay, so think about this. You mentioned this, that in your insights, obviously these your product will probably be bought by a purchasing agent, right, over there at your company. It's not gonna be by the actual end user, but try to put those roles, right, in your description, okay? And also in your customer segment. And also in your value proposition, again, I agree with Steve. So he suggests that avoid subjective language. What do comfortable and low and fewer mean in more concrete, tangible, measurable terms? So when you're saying all that, try to explain low implementation costs in a tangible way and say like, my implementation cost will be reduced by 10%, or I'm going to, or fewer injuries. What does that mean? Is like we're gonna reduce it by one injury or reduce it to 0 injuries per week or something along those lines. Obviously, something that is realistic, okay? But I don't know if any other mentors have any other comments for the team. No? Okay. Well, I guess we're gonna stop right now. You can stop sharing your screen. Thank you. You did a great job. I know that it's difficult for you to get customer discovery interviews. In average, all of you did 2 customer discovery interviews this week. Remember that we're here to help you. If you need us to open our networks or help you securing those customer discovery interviews, let us know. Remember also that LinkedIn could be a resource for you if you don't use LinkedIn very often. I strongly encourage you to create a LinkedIn profile, and you can find many people in there. For those of you that are actually going with other types of products or services. Also, believe it or not, I know that you're quite young, but consider also approaching Facebook groups or any type of groups where you can find like-minded individuals or individuals that are interested into those things. You will be able to find them in Facebook groups or even in meetup groups, okay? So for example, you can find them in LinkedIn, people that are actually interested on recycling pet degrade, or even for those of you in Fervere, people that are really into this, that they study this, or they're actually working in companies on this on the daily lives. And that goes for all the teams, okay? Consider, be entrepreneurial in your approaches, okay? I put in the chat, I don't know if you can see it, but my LinkedIn profile so you can connect and look in my network if I can help you secure customer discovery interviews. Another thing that I just want to remind you is that I strongly encourage you to practice your presentation so you don't have to read it. And that will help you to time yourselves better. And remember, public speaking and presentation is a skill that all of us have to work on a daily basis, okay? So think about this as a soft skill that you're going to get at the end of your INNOVAR experience, right? That way you'll feel more comfortable giving presentations to diverse audiences. With that said, I don't know if the rest of the mentors have any other feedback to give to the teams that presented today. You're awfully quiet.
I'll try. You still can't hear me though, can you?
No, I can hear you much better now.
Oh, this is better. What'd you do?
I don't know. I maybe I just shut up for a while and the computer forgot being sick of me or whatever. 2 things, yeah, and Francis hit on these, but telling stories and try to avoid subjective language. You don't know enough yet to say how much you can improve the customer's situation by, but you want to start putting something out there and then testing that via interviews. Because as Francis pointed out, we want objective language. We reduce costs by X%. We save lives, whatever it is, something measurable and tangible is going to be more compelling. So as you dig into your interviews and go deeper, try to uncover facts, because facts are going to carry the day. So I just would encourage you on that. And then every time there's a problem, again, try to characterize the problem and its cost. There's sometimes an economic cost, there's a health cost, there's a social cost, but costs matter because costs are what make the audience care about what you're talking about. Those are kind of the common themes I would touch upon. And then as Francis said, well, get interviews. The more you get, the more you'll learn, the more effective you can present. If you can get into the teens as soon as possible, you'll learn a lot more and you'll have a much better story to tell.
Thank you, Steve. See, your computer was able to solve that technical challenge. Anything else, Chomet, Ken, that you want to add? No, you're good? Okay, well, guess what? You're off the hook. Thank you for joining us today. Remember, we're here to help you. You have homework. Remember, now you need to start working again on your market size slide. But remember, these are live documents, okay? You can change all these things based on the feedback that you received today or the feedback that you received during your meeting with your mentor, okay? So keep working on it and let us know if we can help. Have a wonderful evening, and I guess I'll see you around.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Adios.